Chato.
Oh, man,
Does
you're
that mean
OJ's
that's the Green
roommate?
Lan-
Wow.
Lantern? Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
he was an abusive short gym teacher in high school, and that he
Are
called
there gym teachers who aren't abusive in some way, shape, or form?
I don't know. I had a female gym teacher. She was a crazy fun lesbian.
They're all defective in some way, it seems.
I love
No offense to any listening.
All you gym teachers in the audience.
Yeah, we love you. We also have Chris Brawley here with us this morning from Bleeding Fool. How you doing?
I am so well rested. I had a great morning constitution, good couple of cups of coffee, a workout. Got some
Salt in wound. Salt in wound.
Does that mean you had a bowel movement?
I'm enjoying, I'm celebrating a joyful day because I didn't get any sleep Saturday night. Saturday night I worked late, and then we had the time jump, and I had commitments early Sunday morning. So I'm sorry for your suffering, though. Trust me, I am sorry.
It's all right.
And now your phone's ringing.
The smile is but a
Now your
disguise.
phone is ringing. Somebody's phone is ringing.
It's the green
Not me.
one. Call him Chato.
Kaylin? Okay.
Here they come.
Yeah, and Ruby Hoove gifted a membership. Thank you for that. AF Watcher 88 says Sony wins Resident Evil bid for Kreger reboot.
Yep.
Script Doctor, any word, and if it will be a Reno remake in name only or true to the games. Well, sadly, Script Doctor's not here with us this morning. But have you guys heard anything?
Just the report that it's coming for next year. Yep. And Sony's the winning bidder. So AF Watcher 88 is on the bleeding edge of Bleeding Fool right now.
All right. Love Bleeding Fool.
All right.
Yeah,
I
that's what
think
we
it's
need.
time for a reboot. Don't you think? I mean, why not just go back to the source material? It's a crazy concept.
Hey, if you started from the beginning, you have a better chance of having everybody caught up with your story.
Yeah.
And if you stick with what they're working from, then I'm with you. The problem is they're going to be inclined to modernize the bologna sausage, and then we're going to be.
It's still a repeat of old stuff. We just got to stop doing it.
Well, that's true.
Well, okay. So when you try to make something new and you do a poor job of it, Mickey 17, you end up with a financial failure, and you make studios not want to take any more risks, which they're already risk averse. So every time a new property fails, we lose.
Well, the issue is that you don't win by one-offs. I've said this before. You have to go to the old method where you make 20 to 26 movies a year.
Right.
You kind of sort of guess that your 2 tent poles will be pretty good. Then you got a whole slate of other stuff that kind of surprises you. And each year you just can't really, because there's no way to guess this stuff.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Little Miss Sunshine, the movie you spent the least amount of money on, becomes your biggest hit of the year. So only the process works. If you ignore the process, you have no business.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the process is the punishment.
No, the process is the success.
Well, we'll get into that in a few minutes, at least as far as Mickey 17 goes.
Well, Mickey 17 just isn't a good movie.
Oh, that
doesn't sound like it. Dr. Long Dongler sends in $1.99 to remind you to pound that like button if you haven't already. Pound it hard. Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle says, "Hi, everyone. Just caught the Freddy Krueger stream this morning. Wow, Price really hates the new Nightmare." Yeah, he did. He took it kind of personally. Alex Kurtzman is an unhireable hairy testicle, sends in $35 and says, "Now they realize the damage. What do Disney do now with Star Wars now?" And Paul, congratulations. Furious Leader is the least competent.
Well, they're embracing the original trilogy. They're bringing Luke back to Walt Disney World. You guys hear about this?
And he's played by a woman.
Oh, come on. I hope not. Shadow.
That's what I heard. It looked
Shadows of
funny to
Memory.
me.
Well, maybe the hooded version, the cloaked version is a woman, but it won't be. Surely not.
It probably will be Shirley.
I just want that mustachioed princess at the dress shop that's greeting.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Welcome
Yeah.
to Star
Blue
Wars.
shot.
Goodbye, your shit.
Maybe she, they, he will play Luke.
Princess
It's
Ralph.
ma'am.
Princess Ralph. Yeah. Hope
Good
so.
golly, Miss Molly.
Well, I don't know what Disney's going to do, but if they don't get back to basics with Star Wars, they might as well just give it a rest for a few years, like they did Doctor Who back in the 90s. Not that Disney gave Doctor Who a rest.
Or Doctor Who now.
Yeah.
Well, they did give Doctor Who a rest. I think about 89 or so, and then I think they did a
No,
TV
I know, but that's the
movie.
new news is that it's going to be going on rest for a while because, yeah, they're losing their funding or whatever.
Maybe it needs to, you know? Maybe we
Right.
need those fresh ideas that Paul is talking about.
You know, these are like the cutest things I've ever seen. There's a little apple juice bottles. They look
Oh,
like little apples.
no nipple on there, I hope.
No.
Okay.
But it could use some alcohol. I don't drink. But that being said, let's get into the box office, and then we can talk about some Star Wars news because that's our other topic for today.
Star Wars.
If I can actually
talking
get
about
this thing to work.
Star Wars.
I can't get to my. There we go.
We are having technical
Yeah,
difficulties
X
today.
is down, by the way, guys. So unfortunately, we're
I
not streaming
couldn't.
to
I
X.
couldn't write my appalling news today because all my stories are saved on X.
And Andre, I thought you couldn't get on X.
No, I can view stuff on X, copy links,
Yep.
and then put them aside until later, and then I can view those links and write shit. So I don't have a problem. That I can graze.
Why don't you have them sign up for email notifications from like the big ones, the trades?
I'm not looking for those things. I'm looking for crazy, stupid shit.
Oh, okay. Oh, for polling news.
Independent
Okay.
reporters.
For what it's worth, the mobile app on iPhone seems to work, even though I can't respond to messages. It does at least seem to work and let you post.
That's what I had to do to send you guys the link this morning. I had to go in, send it to Andre via another way, then copy that and send it via X. And you couldn't even get it to work, Chris.
No, I couldn't even see your. I did finally see it come through and say, "Did it go through?" But by that time, I
Yeah.
went to the
Yeah.
good old reliable Facebook.
Yeah, I sent you via Facebook. But anyhow, let's get into. Oh, we got one more super chat here before we do. Patrick Robinson sends in $9.99. Says, "Welcome to Raccoon City. Was the closest thing to a movie, Resident Evil movie, and fans still complained. Also, Snow White tickets are on sale. Anyone buy their tickets?"
Not
Or
it.
check
Fun is
back later.
complaining. No, I mean that's part of the fun, isn't it? Just complaining.
Well,
Partially,
yeah. I mean, you know what? Sometimes I'm not a fan of all the complaining stuff, but there are moments where it's such a great pylon. It's fun to do it. I'm actually reviewing the giant billboard that's at our theater, so that's all I'm doing. I'm reviewing the billboard.
It's a bit
So that'll
flat.
hopefully come out today.
I did see a huge poster for Snow White that was a massive mirror with Gal Gadot and a little tiny Rachel Zegler Snow White at the
Really?
bottom. Yeah,
That's funny, but
it's
that's
beautiful.
that is approximately their correct height difference.
Well,
And gravitas difference, I think. So
yeah. I mean, just the more likable person happens to be playing the witch. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But the witch is definitely the Snow White or whatever. Right? This is like
it's hilarious
Which
too
is
because the
dead.
pro-terrorists are going to be protesting the movie at the very beginning.
Oh yeah,
Which
for
is
sure.
Beautiful.
Because you have
I mean,
an
it's
Israeli in
open-
it. I mean, of course, that's the most important thing. The world has
Hey,
gone stupid.
Well, some of it hasn't. I'm not-
Most.
I'm not saying- $53 million open for that film. And by the way,
Wow.
pre-sales, because they went live today, will be fun to track. Because, yeah, I don't think they're going to pre-sale well.
Where do you track the pre-sales culture?
Oh no, I keep. Who is it? The exhibitors. What is it? What's the Twitter handle? Hang on. Exhibitor relations will sometimes have those, and others. Yeah, and six also has other resources. 6 is magical for tracking things. When I grow up, I wanna be a research person. Like
Are you saying she's a magical creature?
she is a magical creature, like in Snow White?
They've created a magical Snape.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
come on now. I mean, it's about time you had a black Snape.
Black Snape Moan.
Damn mud.
That wasn't a terrible movie, by the way.
There's a Snape in my boots.
Oh, that sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, it was a black adder.
Yeah,
Oh,
Deep cut.
deep cut.
that's right. Yep.
I wonder who the audience, who is buying tickets today? What is the demo that's buying those tickets?
YouTube,
Let's ask
YouTube
them.
reviewers.
Let's ask
That
him.
and I was going to say 45 to 50, 55-year-old gay and lesbian Disney adults. That's
Yep.
I don't even know if it's going to be
target
appealing
audience.
to the gay folk.
Oh, they'll love it.
They'll love it. Are you
I think
kidding?
I think that they're just boosters. You know what I mean? Like where boosters go to all the games, no matter how bad the team is, whatever the record is, they're still at every single game.
So
No,
they're-
There are boosters.
And
So
now
they're-
there's the left wing kind of trans side of things, but there's, I mean, I've gone to movies with just the traditional LGB crowd, and they love trash.
Okay.
Well, yeah, like Oscar the Grouch. He loves trash. Has a whole
Okay.
song about it.
Oh, I'm not talking about.
I think that's your
showgirl
audience.
trash.
Yeah. So there's people that are just going to make fun of it and
Yes.
have fun with it, and
Oh my God.
yeah.
So my question is, since I have to review this,
Mhm.
should I dress up like a princess?
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I'd fit in.
Aren't you doing
At least
that
wear a
today?
tiara.
A
Yeah.
tiara.
I already
No.
did.
Live stream it as you
You
walk.
you should dress up dress up as the poisoned apple. Dress up as the real hero of the story.
Get
Oh.
some video footage of all the mothers gathering their children closer to them as you walk in.
There you go. Just get yourself an apple costume and have toxic painted on.
You just dress up as Red Hulk and go, am I at the wrong movie?
There you go. Yeah. Just
was
dress
a
up as
great
Barbie.
series.
Wait, I thought this was Barbie too.
This is a great series of jokes, guys. I hope somebody's recording this.
Not really, but anyhow. This being said, let's get into the box office.
Oh,
There you go.
man. Really?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
There
It's up
really
to you,
isn't-
culture. What do you got?
I know. I forgot to hit the share button. There we go. But dude, nobody made any money.
Uh-oh.
Wow, Mickey 17 did a little bit better than I anticipated.
Yeah, up from 18 million. Come on now.
That's the Pattinson crowd.
I'm just saying. Look, these numbers are dismal. The per theater average in 3,800 theaters should be higher than this, and it's not. You have to remember when a Marvel movie used to open, you were looking at tens of thousands of dollars in this category. Mickey 17 is up to $150 million worth of budget spend, not counting the $80 million in promotional spend. So this movie has no prayer of making a profit. When you dive down into it, it got a South Korean release. This may not be working today.
Awesome.
Oh, there we go. This got
So
a
in
South
other words,
Korean
it's just
release.
like everything else today.
Yeah, this got a South Korean release a week ago. It opened early because obviously Parasite director. Because
Right.
Anyway, but and look, I mean, the best comment that I got about this on my this is the box office video that I do on Mondays, was that there is zero reason that people are compelled to see this, because this is basically Parasite with a dark comedy sci-fi horror vent. This is $19 million in almost 4,000 theaters domestically. International box office got a head start in South Korea, but you're looking at 34.2 million. So 53.2 million, and this is it. This is so bad. People fell asleep during it. I wish Paulie was here because he fell
I was gonna
asleep during
say,
this movie.
The reviews for this movie, I haven't heard one person really give it
No,
a positive review.
and everybody says after the first act, you might as well leave because it's boring.
Well, Paul, you saw it, right?
Yep.
What'd
what
you
did
think?
Because I don't think we got.
Well, it-
You talked about it a little bit, but yeah.
Well, I mean, my main thought was I left the theater not really fully digesting the movie. And then I sat down, wrote a first draft of my review. And when I went to sleep, by the morning, I hated it more and more and more. Like
Yeah.
it was a movie that the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. Very super disappointed on multiple levels. It's just not very good. Just not a very, very good movie. Outside of Pattinson's performance, I thought he showed a comedic turn that surprised me. That I would really love to see him in a comedy, because he was really good in this movie.
I have to ask you a question, Paul, because you're an expert here. No, you are. Do you think he's wasting his talent because of the roles that are being picked for him? Do you think he should be looking for a new agent or somebody to help him pick roles?
That's not fair, because you go you play the odds. You go,
right.
Okay, this director is well known, and perhaps he's liked his previous work, like Snow Crusher or whatever it was, and Piercer and Parasite. You could very much like that movie, and he's got a reputation. He's on the way up. Korean stuff is popular, and the thing is, in the business, you could literally get a first or second draft of a script, and the producer director goes, look, it's just the basic ideas. I know it's crap, but by the time we get to it, we're going to make this thing work. There's a lot of movies that are shot that way, right? Where it's only by the time that they get to the shooting script that things have sorted out. So even he could very well have gotten the first drafts or whatever of the script and went, hey, Bong, this really is crap. I'm concerned about this. But then, he gets assuaged because, there's promises made. You take a look at Tarantino films where suddenly someone shows up, is doing a pretty good performance, and he writes him a scene, right? Stuff happens in an ad hoc way all the time. So, you go, okay, if I got those kinds of odds with those kinds of people who are involved in Warner Brothers and the kind of budget that's involved, I'd be hard pressed to turn it down. And then on the other hand, you never know. A crappy movie becomes a huge hit. A good movie is completely ignored. There are sets where I've been on sets where the entire experience was a complete disaster. Everybody hated each other. It was just a terrible experience.
And that's just Midnight's Edge in the Morning.
And then it pulls together into a really decent movie. As William Goldman says, no one knows anything. So there's
I called Paul a fucking cunt rag this morning.
No, you didn't. But look, Paul, I have to ask you this then, because now we're supposed to trust the process, and actors are supposed to trust the process, and
they broke the system. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's true, because Warner Brothers. What's going to be a winner for Warner Brothers this year? Since Barbie, right? What is a winner for Warner Brothers?
Well, I think they're concentrating on the Harry Potter series is what they're concentrating.
Not well, but if you look at their film slate, which Pam Abdi,
obviously Superman,
and I was going to say, and people need to understand that Disney or Warner Brothers and HBO, even though they're under the same umbrella, they operate
things
So the Harry Potter thing is all over at HBO.
Mm-hmm.
So Superman is a thing I've heard that they're getting behind big time.
They got big problems because they got reshoots to do, which Gunn hates to do. Oh no! And
I don't know about this thing with reshoots. The only thing I've never heard anything solid on that.
I predict it does worse box office adjusted for inflation than Man of Steel.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
All I know is that the Snyder Bros have been coming after this thing like crazy. I think that's what part of that. No, I'm serious. I think that's what part of that YouTube hack was about. Because the next morning, that's what they were boasting about, is that Man of Steel was now the #1 Superman trailer again because they had taken it down.
Oh, boy.
And then when it was brought back up, of course, then they started whining because, it still got more views. But yeah.
Hey,
anyhow.
Culture, I did notice the Oscar bump that Honora got.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an Oscar bump.
Hey, everybody loves Ed, but my friend, you know this, and everybody here probably knows this. Nothing sells better than a film about a sex worker. That is something everybody wants.
Well, now it's an award-winning film about a sex worker.
That's right, and that's back-to-back sex work films for the win for the Oscar.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I also noticed Sonic's still in theaters and in the top 20. That's how bad the box office is this year so far.
Oh, you know what? The saddest news, of course, obviously Captain America can't get out of second place because there is no competition. So this weekend was just
320 theaters at least wised up. It's good to see.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go down to the bottom because really this is the telltale of it all. Only 31 wide release films. I don't know that I've seen it this low. 53 million again this weekend.
If I can interrupt for just one moment, people are talking about what's the slate for Warner's this year. You've got Superman, Minecraft movie.
That's going to fail.
Final Destination, which I don't know what that is.
It's a horror film.
The Accountant 2.
You don't know what Final Destination.
The Accountant 2.
Yeah, we can hardly wait to see.
That one will do okay, but it's not going to be a blockbuster.
No. Sinners,
Sinners will be all right. That'll be okay. That's a
vampire movie.
Vampire horror. Yeah.
It looked good in the trailer.
It's an
got the Brad Pitt F1.
That's not going to do as well as people think. And anyway.
And
all these movies up until July basically have no excuse if they fail because there's nothing for competition really.
I think it'll be a good movie.
Fury, Mortal Kombat 2.
Oh boy,
well, look at the previous film, and look at the budget for it, and I want it. I personally, because it's a video game film, I want it to do good. It's not going to do well.
You know what's going to be huge?
Barbie 2.
Ryan Reynolds, Animal Friends.
How about? Wait, how about the last thing that Ryan Reynolds did with the Make Believe? What was that called? If?
Oh yes, If.
That's terrible.
Imaginary Friends, yes.
That was a straight to streaming though, wasn't it?
No, it was a straight to my theater and a straight to me pissed off for spending the money to see it.
Well, let's another If. And then you've got The Conjuring, Last Rites.
That's another horror film.
Okay, Companion is already done. We've seen it. That was a pleasant surprise for me. Mickey 17, of course. One Battle After Another. Don't know what that is. The Parenting. Don't know what that is. Aztec Batman, Clash of Empires.
You made that up.
I'm not joking. I'm looking at it right now. Aztec Batman, Clash of Empires. Looks like some kind of anime version.
Yeah, that's.
And then finally, the big one, Spinal Tap 2.
Yay!
Yeah, finally.
Can't
even shoot. I haven't even heard about it shooting.
The search for more money.
So there you go. It doesn't sound like there's any prestige items here.
No, you have
Avatar for one.
You have. By the way, still haven't started shooting Batman sequel. Duh.
That is not ready. We talked about that the other night.
Shouldn't Superman be a prestige property?
Yes.
It was.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that it isn't is kind of
no. It will be. They'll treat it like a prestige property. Does anyone know when it's supposed to be opening?
July 11th,
10th or whatever.
That's coming up fast.
Yeah, real fast.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it this way. There's a giant yawn for that film, and nobody has high expectations, and it's going to be gunning it up. You've got an ensemble cast instead of just Superman.
Because this doesn't sound anything like the leaks I heard, but okay.
Okay, go ahead. What are the leaks you heard?
That the humor comes from the characters. Lois is hilarious in some scenes, but other than that, it's not like gun humor normally. And as far as the rest of the stuff goes, I haven't heard anybody complain about the other stuff.
Okay.
There was various outlets reporting on the test saying some said it was really good, some said it was really bad. The one that stuck out to me was Jeff Snyder, who said it was good because he's had a hate boner for this movie like you do, evidently.
I don't have a hate boner. I want it to be good.
Dude, I can smell your hate boner from here for this.
I don't want to anymore.
Oh man,
Jesus!
The thing that puts me off on the movie, besides it just being James Gunn, who do we have to go back to speaking of Twitter jokes? Is Nathan Fillion's character just looks like a freaking doofus?
That's on purpose.
That's what he looks like in the comics.
He doesn't look like that in the comics.
Yeah, actually, that version.
No, I mean he does have a bowl type haircut, but he does not look like a goofball. No, he doesn't. I'll go to my grave with that one.
I'm just saying that the Javier Bardem No Country for Old Men cut. You've got him, and you've got Ziegler sporting that in Snow White. I mean, it's a very popular cut that's coming back, Chris.
Listen, if I had hair, maybe that would mean something to me. It doesn't. He just looks like a goofball. And I think I think it looks more like an ensemble thing rather than Superman.
I'll guarantee you that as the movie comes closer, the excitement or enthusiasm is going to ramp up.
Okay. As a person who was not a fan of Man of Steel, I didn't like it. I just thought it was too much destruction porn, and I never could see somebody like Clark Kent damaging a person's $500,000 rig over getting splashed with beer. Still don't think this is going to do as well as Man of Steel did. That's just my take. I'd like for it to do better. I'd like for DC to regain their footing, but I'm still not sold, especially after Creature Commandos. I'm just not sold that James Gunn is the man for the job. We'll see.
Creature Commandos wasn't horrible.
Is that the new standard we're going for?
Yeah, it's not horrible. Yeah,
it's better than bad. It's good.
All I know is I get yelled at all the time when I prejudge shit, but I've seen nobody do nothing but prejudge this movie. And
all I'm prejudging is the appearance and the track record. That's it.
I don't even think I've ever seen a trailer that's been under so much scrutiny my entire life.
And also, I'm not always sold on the Disney dead-eyed style crypto dog. CG animals for me it's a very big, heavy lift for me to be persuaded by that. It looks cute enough, but I don't know.
I can see that. I see what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that what Gunn is probably going to do, and if he does it with aplomb and does it very nimbly, he could take some of the goofy aspects of the Silver Age era of Superman and make this a fun romp. If he does it, good for him. I'm skeptical. I'll just say that. That's me. I'd like for it to do good. I love Superman. I love the 1978 Christopher Reeve film. I mean, it's still as cheesy as it is when you watch it with mature eyes years later. I still love it. I love everything about it. Even reversing time. I mean, now today, if James Gunn, if that was a new thing and it wasn't already a trope, I would probably criticize James Gunn for Superman reversing the rotation of the earth to make time go backwards. I'm okay with it. I guess maybe because I was 10 years old when that came out. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too jaded.
I didn't like that. I saw that when I was young and I saw it live, older than you. And I didn't like that part in the original movie.
Okay.
I went, oh, this is silly.
I wasn't sold on Lex Luthor with a wig, but I really did appreciate it when Gene Hackman's wig came off.
Yes. Hair club for men.
Something about baldness. I don't know. I knew it was coming.
So are you fully bald, a partial shaver, or fully shaver?
No, I shave every morning. I would look like Jason Statham, probably cut if I didn't shave.
It's not a bad look.
No, that's what my wife says, but I prefer the shave. I'm a clean cut guy.
All right. Well, Midnight's Edge now refers to razor blades, guys, just so you know.
Yeah.
What else do we have here, Culture?
Why are we're talking about other shit other than the box office?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, back to the box office. Nothing happened at all. There was no. This is like for the last 2 weeks I've been like, I'm sad. There's not anything going on. Captain America is stuck in second place. It can't slip to third or fourth because there's no competition.
Is it going to hit 500,000?
500 million? You mean
500 million?
Let's take a look at the projection here. It's at 370 right now, Paul.
Wow.
Good.
Remember when I said this thing's going to have a hard time scratching over 400?
Yeah.
It's going to have a hard time scratching over 400.
I think you're right.
And look at where it sits. See, this is the cone of joy right here. You want to be in this cone. It's right down here. This is in the shade of sadness.
Yeah.
This is very bad. Very bad.
I got into a bit of a Twitter spat with someone yesterday who was getting angry with Rob Liefeld. You know, Rob Liefeld is still going hard in the paint against Marvel,
and
so
he should.
Gleefully, he should, sure. But Rob Liefeld still hasn't fulfilled his 12-year-old Kickstarter campaign for Brigade. So I mean, you know, he's throwing stones in glass houses. But nonetheless, the Disney shills were coming out to dispute Rob, saying this movie's not even going to break even. And so I went, well, and I agree, but I even taking everyone's numbers at face value, right? So take the $180 million production budget. We've said this before. $180 million production budget, and assume that included all the reshoots, even when they suddenly decided to bring in a character that wasn't in the original shooting script. It was all part of that $180 million. Then you have only $46 million was spent on P&A, not the usual double, the same budget as the production. They really got smart with how they spend, and it's a lot of trades back and forth, a lot of horse trading. So only 46 million. So you add 46 million to 180, you get 226. Well, it still needs to make double that to break even, which is, I think, check my math, 452 million, in that range. Let's just say 450 million. It's not going to break even.
Right.
And my guesstimate is really it's got to do more like 750, 780 million.
Which is more accurate. Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe, Disney is not going to show us their receipts. They're not going to come out and say, hey guys, we kind of spent more than we should have on this. They're never going to do that. They're never going to do that. Because the shareholders would be too angry with them.
The box office isn't even going to cover the Red Hulk statue that they put up at the AMC in Los Angeles.
That's probably true. Look, I mean, I'm just going to say, look, even if you give it if you give it the $100 million treatment for advertisement, ads in print, right? You're not going to come anywhere. This is a $200 million loser, no matter what, probably more. And they spent twice what they're willing to admit, if not much more, to make this movie, just on the spend alone before you get to ads in print, AMP. So, there could be an argument for this needs to make $850 million before it breaks even. And you know what? Back in the day, and Paul, I mean, I'm sure you'll agree, you could bank on these Marvel movies making $1 billion every time, right? So who cares if we spend $400 million making it?
That's what ruined the movie business, is that the accountants went, rather than making 50 movies a year, we only have to make 3. That's and then the momentum and the ability for studios to actually make movies deteriorated because of that.
Well, which is why we get not great films now.
Yeah. So now the other question,
The
other question I'm going to throw out to all you guys is, what happens to Anthony Mackie's version of Captain America?
No more solo movies.
He had to go hold his home planet, and he died on the way there.
Yeah, dude, I feel like Anthony Mackie's Captain America is like Elvis. Like, you could say he's alive, but nobody knows for sure.
He'll be around.
I do love the poster, by the way. I will say that is a hell of a great poster for this movie.
Yeah, it's great.
With AI.
It's great, and unless you're in China, and then there's no Black Captain America.
Well, he's masked, I guess.
He is. Yeah,
China's just not a big fan of American movies, really. Anymore,
well, no, because the American movies forced diversity, and it's unrealistic in the real world. But anyway, there's organic diversity. There's such a thing as that. Regardless, Last Breath somehow made $4 million. Somehow, The Monkey is $3 million. You're just, it's diminishing returns across the board. And it's like, if you're a moviegoer and you go to a theater, you're like, oh man, I already saw that. It wasn't good. Oh man, I already saw that. That wasn't good. So you're going around trying to see, is this going to be a good movie? Now that's not a place to operate from. But Anora, hey man, sex work pays $1.8 million. Look at that. Good job, Anora.
What was Paddington's total?
Paddington is not performing where it needs to. 175.7.
It needs to hit at least 250, doesn't it?
Yep. And one of the biggest problems, I think, Paul, is this had an earlier release internationally than it did in the States domestically. It was a late bloomer here in the States. I think it was three weeks to a month even after the international debut. And I think that kind of put the hurt on this movie, and it got not the kind of promotion you would expect.
No.
So
no. Well, it did better than the Oscar winner.
It did. Yeah, but that's not that hard. I mean, Oscar movies are not made for us. It's made for, people with a thumb up their ass all the time. And that's just not the kind of movie that's
I talked with Chris Gore, and he said this was the first year where the checkbox was applied for for best movie.
For best picture, yeah.
Best picture, this was the first year. Yeah. And that's just got to be removed.
Well, but that's why Nora wasn't going to win. The Checkbox Mafia was pulling hard for that Amelia Perez bologna sausage, which is complete trash. And if it weren't for those tweets, I think Tom would agree, or maybe Chris, or maybe even you, Paul. I know Scribe would agree. Scribe has good taste, smart guy. But
yes.
See,
I endorse this message.
but it was only going to win because of the Checkbox Mafia. That's it, and that's a big problem. We can't have that be a criteria for film. You will never honor like film again, or art or anything. Because I'm going to tell you, Amelia Perez was not art by anyone's estimation.
No.
So
and the fact that the the Oscar committee actually decided to nominate a female with dangly bits,
right,
for best female it's just ludicrous.
I got a question, and maybe, and I'm not a historian of the Academy or anything, but prior to their requirements for qualifying for Best Picture, with all of the diversity hires and everything else, were there any stated actual hardline requirements to qualify prior to that?
No.
No.
Well, not no.
Because I always thought it was kind of ephemeral as to how one movie got into the Best Picture category versus another. So I didn't know if there was it has to have had. I mean, aside from the fact that it has to have had a theatrical release at some point or another.
No, this is the first time they've ever done anything like this.
And so that sets the tone. That's why we're seeing such crap come in, is because now there's requirements that are based in ideological, social, culture war type stuff.
That's my understanding why Nosferatu didn't get any major award nominations.
Which it should have.
Right. So you now you have a filtration system for what qualifies. It's not based on quality, which of course is what.
Yeah. And why
they DEI'd the Oscars.
Right. So how do you solve? And now that the cat is out of the proverbial bag with setting these kind of standards, even if you got rid of them, how do you solve for reversing it? You'd have to take some kind of drastic action to put in requirements that push towards merit. Otherwise, wouldn't you?
No, I don't know that the awards are ever based on merit. I mean, if you've been an observer of them, I mean, at times,
Paul
especially
was about
recently.
to say something, so it's probably.
I'm sorry, Paul. I'll ask a question then, Paul. Didn't they become more like a popularity contest at some point?
Well, they were always a popularity contest.
Yeah.
But on multiple levels, you had many things that you were rooting for back in the day. I mean, you would root for a director because you knew Norman Jewison. Even as a hoi polloi, you would have known of him, and you would have liked Rod Steiger and Poitier, and then the movie turns out okay. So you were, as a Academy Award devotee on TV, like my mom and I were every single year, because she grew up as a usherette or usher in Budapest, and she saw all the old Hollywood classics, and she would always swoon over the men of the era. So my mom from Hungary was a massive Hollywood supporter. You had multiple reasons for rooting for a film. Now, really, how big a star is Zoe Saldana? Seriously.
Not really.
The
Didn't
Taylor
Challengers
level
get shut out though? I don't think Challengers got any nods, did it?
Hey, calm down.
Oh,
But
That was the worst. That was
you've got multiple multiple ways that you were rooting for a film back in the day, and now not only have you never seen the film, but I mean it's a bizarre film. So you've got multiple ways for not rooting for the Oscars is the problem. I mean, on one hand, I would probably people are going to hate this, but for the next 5 years, I would just go. Only the top box office grossers are allowed to be included,
and that would bring people back to the awards.
That would at least bring
but it would
people
freak
back.
out
They would
Hollywood.
hate it because it wouldn't be art for whatever reason.
But they aren't making art.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, is that in order to disprove the trend that they've been on because of these requirements over the last few years and the ideology otherwise, they'd have to take some kind of hard line. You know, this movie must be these things that are at least abstractly, artistically based to qualify, just to show people that it's not just about ideology anymore, wouldn't they?
But hasn't there always been an aura about the Oscars that they're these movies that the general public has maybe not necessarily heard of? And so they assume that, well, if this movie is going for an Oscar, being nominated for an Oscar, then, oh, this must be, what fine cinema is about. And I think there's always been this disconnect between the general public and the Academy Awards, because it's like the Academy Awards are trying to teach, quote unquote, normal people what fine cinema looks like. And so because people haven't seen a lot of these movies, then maybe they're just assuming, oh, well, this is a quality movie, and maybe if it comes to their local theater, they're going to drag their significant other and say, well, this wonderful movie has been nominated, so we should definitely go see this because it must be a wonderful movie.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much everything post Weinstein has been that way. You're not wrong. Like, they've had this idea in their heads that the Academy's job is to push these little known films that need some sort of attention that they normally wouldn't get. That has kind of been their mentality ever since the Weinstein thing kind of went away.
And that's a huge problem, because if you go back to 1963, which won 10 Academy Awards, the film I'm talking about is Lawrence of Arabia. If you go back to that year, Lawrence of Arabia was the biggest picture and the most awarded film.
Well,
we don't have that anymore.
Like, okay, here's a great year, 1994. Look at the top nominated films.
I just think, there's movies that would have gotten, I think, selected, like even Juror Number 2. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought, what was another? Furiosa wound up actually being better than what everybody was telling me. I'm not saying it was best movie. Hitman was also good. Even Transformers 1. There were a lot of good movies that really got downplayed. And I wonder if with this sort of DEI selection process at the Oscars, do they make a list of all the movies they feel meritoriously earned it, and then they go, okay, now let's go down the checklist and see if they qualify? Like, we know this is a good movie, let's make sure it ticks the boxes before we glorify it. Or do they say, quick, find the most noteworthy movies that tick all these boxes, and then we'll pick the best of them?
I don't think you're allowed to submit the movie unless you've ticked the boxes first.
But do you think, though, that somebody, obviously the Academy itself, then has to go, well, let's double check that it ticks the boxes?
Perhaps.
Okay.
But to be able to enter it now, or at least what the plan was, that you've got to check enough boxes to even put your movie in.
What's to stop a smart, savvy filmmaker from casting a bunch of like secondary roles, having them all featured in one scene, and having them check all the boxes?
Because I've seen the criteria. They're very specific in terms of starring roles, etc. And
it has to be with crew and stuff too.
And let's not forget, this criteria list was initially meant for every single
nominee at all
Oscar category.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just the best movie. It was for everything.
Yeah, I'm always trying to work on a workaround. So
now, Paul, to your point, do you think that is sort of the secret ballot? Like, in other words, okay, we're just going to do this for the best picture, but they sort of put their finger on the scales of the movies in other categories where it's like, oh, well, it's a transgender actress. Let's make that best actress this year. Do you see what I mean? Like, in other words, that gets ahead of something that maybe wouldn't.
A fully 100% propagandist film won for best documentary.
Don't they always, though?
That,
I mean,
that has now been shredded for, just the lies that it contained, but that wasn't, I mean, you could see that as a DEI select. But Chris, no, I think you're right. I mean, the Hollywood is polluted with this nonsense, this woke nonsense, and I could very well see people, tipping the scale for all those other categories.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna for a while, probably. It's gonna take a while to get all the wokey wokes to change.
Yeah. So, for instance, how did the trans film also win for that horrible Delma song?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Like how did that?
Holly was telling us that the only song in the film wasn't even.
Yeah, the main song where they were kind of doing that rapping stuff about organs and changing people around, that didn't win. It was
no.
Right.
Yeah, but here was what I was getting at. So here's the 1995 nominees for Best Picture: Forrest Gump, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, and Shawshank Redemption. I bet you've heard of all those films.
Yep,
they're all fantastic. Are you kidding me?
All of them are good. Yeah.
In 95 or 94, the year before that, which was actually movies in 93, you had stuff like The Fugitive and everything else on there. It's like, yeah, they used to nominate popular films. It didn't matter if it was a popular film or an indie film or a little artsy fart house film.
But this stretches back, and to me, the best director is kind of the most telling award, at least to me. So, like, there are not a lot of directors that win that or won that award like regularly. I mean, there was John Ford, who won it 4 times. There was Frank Capra, who never gets enough credit. He won it 3 times. And say again.
Oh, Spielberg, did he win one finally for?
He finally got it for Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Not Shawshank. No,
not Shawshank.
Or not Shawshank. I mean Schindler's List. That's what I meant.
Schindler's List. Yeah.
We were just talking about Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. Okay.
Regardless, my point being is that this is you root for directors. This is true, but there are not a lot of directors that have won multiple awards for their films. So it's a very narrow list of people that have had won more than one. So it's a big deal, and or it used to be. Now, people you never heard of that you will never see a movie made by are winning these awards. This is detrimental to Hollywood's
or you get somebody like Bong Joon-ho, and their follow-up film to their Oscar-winning performance is a dud like Mickey 17.
Yeah.
5 years after the fact.
Isn't the star director in the same category as the movie stars falling out next to the popularity of a franchise versus those that make it? Because do we have star directors anymore aside from maybe Christopher Nolan?
Denis Villeneuve.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Honestly,
I think he's overrated.
More director. Honestly, it's funny you ask that. I'd say that more people go to see movies now because of the director in some cases than they do the actors in most cases. Because as we've said time and time again, the movie star is dead. But I know people who will go see a Nolan movie, a Tarantino movie, a Scorsese movie, a specific director's films. More people, I didn't barely even know who Bong Joon-ho is or whatever, but everybody knows about him before this movie comes out. That's where all the buzz was coming about. But I think what killed it, and this is the thing with movies now, is that we have something we didn't have, X amount of years ago prior to Marvel movies. And this is where I think Hollywood's also going to have to learn. Social media is a lot bigger and faster than it was.
Yeah.
This is how your comic book movies took such a nosedive so fast, is because people like us and other people are out there going, don't go see that. It sucks. And people take that because, especially now when they don't have to wait very long to go see a movie, because they're like, fuck, why should I waste 10, 20 bucks on going to see a movie when, in 30 to 60 days, I can see it on my, Disney Plus or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. And like you named Scorsese, but I mean, he did a streaming movie that made it to theaters of Killers of the Flower Moon or whatever.
Well, there's actually a story we were going to talk about that's related to that if we got to it, but yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these guys that are crossing over. But I still think one of the best directors who've won multiple Academy Awards that doesn't get enough credits, Clint Eastwood, because everybody
yeah.
focuses on his acting, and he's got a storied history as a director
Well,
and a
and we know the
creator.
reason he didn't get any nominations or any notice this last year, or probably the last couple of years, is just because of his politics, and we all know it. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people have agreed that Juror Number 2, being probably his last movie he's ever going to make, is a really damn good movie, and it deserves some sort of fucking nomination. And that's why Zaslav made sure it got out in theaters, so it had that opportunity. Even though people were claiming he was the one who was being a dick about it. It's like, no, that deal was made under Kalar, and it was meant to go straight to streaming on HBO Max and go nowhere else. So yeah,
Good movie.
Zaslav's like, no, we can't have that. So he put it out in 50 theaters, so it had a chance at nominations and at least was in theaters.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a fucking favor. I think it's on HBO Max now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a great film.
Highly recommended.
One of the best of the last year.
I think the problem, too, with these awards, I mean, does anybody remember who won the People's Choice Award last year for Best Action Star?
Fuck no.
Rachel Zegler.
I was going to say, wasn't it? I was just going to say that, actually.
Weird.
That's
That's
right.
right.
So, I mean,
Hunger
you
Games,
think
yeah.
about
Hunger
it.
Games,
I mean, they are undermining themselves, right? It's just kind of like people just roll their eyes, and and you'll see as many videos from your favorite personalities and influencers that say, "I heard the Oscars were this weekend, didn't watch." You know, it's almost a rite of passage for you to finally just for the awards to fall out of favor. I don't know that I wanted that. I used to like the award ceremonies too, but now
Well,
I
it
think
used to be
that
like
they
the
have-
Super Bowl for movies, yeah.
yeah, and now they've just really they've sort of cut off their nose to spite their face with things like the DEI, and no one thought Rachel Zegler was an action movie star. I mean, she was in the same category as some Statham and Tom Cruise. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So they're just a joke. And the fact that Aurora got the only reason I think we might have been mentioning was Nora got the bump was because of the Oscar win, right? That movie's been in theaters 20 weeks or something like that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, let's keep moving on here. We got a couple more topics we wanted to get to, and we got some super chats. Ken Riegard sends in a 2-month super chat, or member chat, I mean. Snow White is releasing soon. Their fairy will be complete. Yeah. /1111 sends in 11 euros and 99. Says, hi, Midnight's Edge. My favorite action flick, Die Hard 3, is turning 30 soon. Oh, God, has it been out that many years already? And since it's box office Monday, I checked and realized it was the biggest movie of 95. Was it the first time an R-rated film did that? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. In fact, I think during the 70s, you had quite a few movies that were R-rated that were number one films. Exorcist and Godfather come to mind right away.
Yeah. It was a proper sequel to Die Hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I know people love Die Hard 2, but I have so many issues with that. And I'm like, thank God we got Die Hard 3, because at least it's a straight up sequel and it works on so many levels. But no, plenty of R-rated films have been.
Have you seen the deleted scene from Die Hard 3 at the end?
Yes, the complete alternate ending. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the Blu-rays and DVDs.
I'm glad they cut it. Okay.
I am, but it is kind of neat to see it though, because it's like, it could have been a little differently, but it's a little too non-Die Hardy.
It's a little out of character, right? Yeah.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, basically in the original version, the bad guy gets away. I forget his name. Simon
Says
Gruber.
Yeah, I was trying to think of Hans Gruber's last name. Yeah. Simon Gruber gets away, and he traces him down to Canada the same way he does in the movie through the aspirin, but it doesn't happen right away like it does in the movie, and we don't get this big explosion in this helicopter. He tracks him down way up north, eventually catches up with him, and he has a little game of Simon Says between the two of them at a dinner table, and he's got a little missile launcher, and he's like, there's one thing you forgot, Simon, and he's like, what that? And he sets off the missile launcher, and he goes, a flak jacket.
Is number 3 the one in the subway?
Yeah, with Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
With
Partly
his
in the
dad.
subway.
Okay,
Yeah, they blow up the subway, yeah.
but I just want to say I enjoyed Live Free and Die Hard. So.
It was good.
It has moments.
Yeah,
but
I
it
don't
just
like his son in that one.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, the fifth one is the one with him and his kid where they go to.
I like the second.
Yeah, that has the fourth one has Justin in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Justin
fourth
Long.
one has Justin Long,
Long.
Kevin Smith, Timothy Oliphant, where they shut down the world with the computers.
By the way, Justin Long was great for a period of time. I don't know where he went. Timothy Oliphant should be in everything. And I mean, look, if you're going to Pedro Pascal somebody, it should have been Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I'm like, where'd this dude go? He had this amazing television program. He did great film roles. He was going to be a Star Wars Ranger, and then Gina Carano got nuked by Disney, and now we got Jackal.
But yeah.
I don't know. Timothy Oliphant.
Paul, it's okay to like the second one. I just have issues with it, and I use the second one actually when people like get into the it's not a Christmas movie. The first one, I'm like, well, then why does the second one take place at Christmas for no good goddamn reason?
Yeah,
it's a Christmas movie.
Because think about it for a minute. Why would you move a very hostile and important fucking prisoner on one of the busiest traffic days of the year? It makes absolutely no fucking sense.
The fact that they had the ending where he lit a stream of jet fuel,
yes,
and it just happened to go
up
into the air and blow.
Yes,
that was sensationally bad.
Not only that, and those merc guys, the ones that turn on him, like for their shit to work, like there was like some other thing in the plot. There was a big huge hole. I forgot what it was. But anyway, let's move on because I don't want to talk about Die Hard all day. Thank you, /111. Anyone notice that Disney is front loading the year with flops? Says Kalekioki. Thank you for the $5. Cap 4, Snow White, Thunderbolts, and place success at later if of year Lilo and Stitch and Avatar. That's a good point. Culture, what do you think about that? Is that something they're doing on purpose, or?
I think that was purely an accident, but your point is well taken because they really are going to rely on the winter season.
They'll be able to finish out the year strong, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, you're forgetting about the Pedro Pascal nuclear bomb in the room called Fantastic Four, because that's coming up as well.
It's gonna be good.
I think that's middle ground. I don't think that's going to flop.
I think it's going to be very successful.
I think it's going to be successful. I don't know about you could be right. I'm just saying unless the movie's horrible or it's great, it's going to be one way or the other. Obviously, we already know that. And
I like the vibe.
I don't know if it's going to open as big as people think it's going to. It'll all depend though on the word of mouth, I think.
Oh man, it's just
we'll have to see.
It's going to suck.
Nope, it's going to be huge.
Oh, sure.
I still know all the analysts are saying that Superman is going to be the biggest opening of the year, but they won't say it's going to be the biggest movie of the year. They still say Avatar is going to be the bigger movie of the year.
Of course it is. Look, you don't go to Avatar for anything that's quality. You don't want to go see the seven movies that are the same thing each time, only longer, with just a different aspect of like our environment. So like earth, air, water, fire.
Heart.
Elements.
What about heart?
There's no heart.
That's
in
the fifth.
Oh no, not the heart.
That's the fifth element.
Yeah, I
feel the first four first.
Yeah, I feel like right now I'm getting it's regurgitation, climate emergency, bologna sausage, prawn. So
what has two thumbs and has never seen Avatar?
A prawn.
I saw the first one, and that was about it. I remember walking out before. This was before all the internet movie reviews were available and everything. And I just walked out. And I said, "Did I just watch Fern Gully?"
Yes.
I remember saying that. I saw it with my mother. I said, "I think this is Fern Gully." She's like, "What's Fern Gully?" Oh, Mom, come on.
Yeah, well, Cameron's got a history.
What was Fern Gully before Fern Gully? Because I feel like I have seen this bologna
Dances with
the Wolves. Dance of the Wolves. Strange. Any kind of stranger in a strange land kind of.
And I just watched Dances with Wolves last year. That motherfucker still stands up.
It's great.
So,
you obviously didn't have kids when Avatar came out because the kids loved it, and we watched.
My kid could care.
My daughter, she couldn't care less. No,
but she's 36.
My kid was like 8 or 9 when the first one came out.
So how old? She would have been 9 or 10, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
my kid was close to that. Yeah, he didn't care for it.
My daughter's 30. So
yeah. Now my nephew loved it. Thought it was the greatest movie he'd ever seen. Still couldn't convince me to go see it. Now I like Cameron movies. Don't get me wrong. Terminator 2, Aliens.
Well, we all know he was abducted by aliens sometime in the mid '90s.
Yeah, and then he decided, hey, I like this Pocahontas movie.
Strieber. Am I wrong?
What?
I like this Pocahontas movie. I like this Ferngully movie. How can I make some kind of climate activist approach to things? Well, I'm gonna make the same movie with alien guys.
Yep.
Well, no, Cameron used to be like George Lucas, and then he just kind of lost his way. Cameron was one of the guys, he would always bring something new to the table.
Yeah, cutting edge technology.
Movie.
Yeah, always.
And he's just grown stagnant now, and that's what I said during Avatar 2. I'm like, so basically he's done nothing now. The only thing he's adopting is the what is it, the frame rate thing, and only certain theaters showed it in that high frame rate. So
higher than 60? What is? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's 60 yeah, I think it was just 60 frames or whatever it was being shown at. So like, yeah. And to me, that just gives it that video effect that makes it look like fucking soap operas.
Yeah,
or sporting events.
Sure.
So it's like, that just drives me nuts. Like, that's not what a movie looks like. Just reminds me when people have the motion.
The whole point of shooting in
on
60, honestly, in production, is if you want to slow it down and it look good at 24 frames per second.
Or you're shooting an action sequence that's,
yeah, or you want it to look like a live sporting event, like the scenes in Rocky Balboa, so it looked like, this is.
But even when in Gemini Man, it kept doing that. It kept looking like in certain camera shots, like you're being shot with like a camcorder. I hated that.
I mean, it's okay in, like I mentioned, Rocky Balboa, when you're supposed to be watching a live sporting event, it needs to look 60 frames a second. Agreed.
Well, that's because they actually had the HBO guys shooting that, but you're right. Yeah.
But the other problem is, and I think this is starting to be overly prevalent, is that television and film is indistinguishable now because they're shooting on the volume. Yep. So everything is so
and everything. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's so artificial, and you feel like you're watching a soap opera. That's still probably the best point you've ever made, Tom. And then, and you're like, I'm not watching a soap opera, and that's what every Disney Plus show looks like, in every now Marvel film. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but Paul, do you think the look and the feel of the Marvel films changed along the way so that they look too realistic, or they give you that uncanny valley feeling that just all the time, not because of the characters, but because of the backgrounds, right? Or maybe that's just me.
I'm not a fan of movies, as you know, that abuse the ability to run the camera wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go. I really do like the Pixar ethos, where their movies treat the camera as if it's a regular camera. And if you have a crane shot, you have a crane shot and things like that. And for the most part, not that they haven't done it, but like the ludicrous camera movements in the latest Star Treks, the J.J. Abrams Star Treks, where suddenly the Starship Enterprise has no mass, things like that. And it's going through tight circles and it's flying around like some
it looks like an amusement park ride.
Yeah, it's an amusement park ride. Yeah. I absolutely hated the camera work in the first Peter Jackson, The Hobbit, where they were going into the mine. Now, I know that was done for 3D.
Yeah.
But it just made me vomit. I went, okay, this is stupid. And quite possibly he didn't even want to do it. I get this sense that was a studio note, that we want this crazy bullshit camera work, and then nobody believes it. And that is one of the difficulties with getting into a movie these days, when you're, and as a regular moviegoer, you might not realize why this doesn't look right, but that's the reason it doesn't look right, because it's taking you out of the way you have experienced movies before, and suddenly it's going someplace that makes no sense.
No, and those are probably the best examples to give people about how films used to look on film and then compared to how they're shot and done completely in digital now. Because the original Lord of the Rings, good 80% of it, if not more than that, is all in camera and miniatures. You go to the Hobbit movies, 80 90% of it is all CGI. That's the movie where what's his face broke down, who plays Gandalf, Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
And he started crying in the middle of a scene. He's like, I can't do this anymore, Peter. I can't act to green screen.
Was that The Hobbit or was that Lord of the Rings?
No, that was The Hobbit.
Okay.
Because it was nothing but fucking green screen. And he's like, I can't act like this. He's like, I can't do this. Because that was the big difference between the two films. So, yeah.
Well, it's also the change with digital cameras is that the digital cameras, they used to look like Collateral. If you saw Collateral with Tom Cruise, it looked like a video camera kind of. And then it's like, well, that doesn't look like film anymore. And then they switched everything up so you get the high dynamic range changes. And now suddenly the shadows aren't really shadows anymore and the highlights aren't really highlights. It all looks kind of like TV.
Unfortunately.
And so they could adjust the digital cameras to simulate what old film used to look like with like rich darks and like highlights and make shadows more dramatic and so on. But they either hire people that don't understand the necessity of that or how to paint a picture with the camera, or they've just gotten so used to using digital, everything looks 4K because it has to look 4K that the style is all gone. So that's why
problem is I can imagine and yes, you're absolutely right. You watch the older movies, they've got really hard shadows.
Mm-hmm.
It's because digital doesn't have roll off and it doesn't capture.
No, you can, but
you can, but they don't do it.
Adjust it exactly. Yes.
It's easy to reduce the dynamic range, but someone is going. We paid for this expensive camera. It gives us 16 stops of dynamic range. We're going to use it. Do you see that shadow there? I actually want to see detail in that shadow because I fucking paid for that.
Yeah.
And I could imagine that being the case.
And we got Paulie joining us. Good morning, Paulie.
Yeah, and back in the film day.
Yeah, let's.
Happy Monday.
Millimeter film, when the British were shooting their TV shows on 16 mil, it had an even harder time dealing with dynamic range. But you'd have these, watch the first Sherlock Holmeses with Jeremy Brett. And
man, I love those. My mom and I used to watch those when I was a kid. The best Sherlock ever.
Yeah, but take a look at the cinematography in it.
Yes,
it's really harsh, but in a good way.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Colecchio, for that and the gifted membership. We appreciate that. Patrick Robinson says, so I'm a little confused. Is Disney actually going to make a live-action Kingdom Hearts movie? Apparently, Favreau is working on a Mixie Cinematic Universe. I don't know if this is true. I think this was a rumor that people took out of context because we found out he's working on the Rabbit show, Oswald.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is going to lead to anything else or not, but this is what came out, and it was coming off of all these rumors that he was working on some universe. So I wouldn't get my hopes up too high. So, yeah. And then Soul Nightmare says, if Superman is a hit, Crybaby Casino has to shave it all off. And his balls.
Shave off his balls.
They're smelling his bone, his hate boner, and making him shave off his balls.
This is nothing new. You don't know.
Oh my God! That's what I was going to ask. Is this? What the?
That's what I was going to ask. Does he have to shave his hate boner, his smelly hate boner?
Shave that stinky hate boner.
Yeah.
Only if it's a hit. Now, are we going to move the goalposts on this Superman movie being a hit?
Yeah. No. Well, wait. If it makes $80 million, it's a hit.
80 million.
No. We set the bar. Fair enough. Is that Man of Steel? So anyhow, it has to do better than Man of Steel, or it's pointless. Mr. Godzilla sends in $5. How you doing, Mr. G? Good to see you. Says, I would say they had their finger on the pulse back then, especially in really good years such as at 68. Massively underappreciated year for film, in my opinion. Oh yeah, there's some really great years for film, and that's one of them. Then he follows it up again with another $5 super chat. Said, my birthday was a few days ago, and ironically, I watched Die Hard 1 for the first time ever on it. Really?
What?
Such a great movie. The TV guy deserved that punch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Atherton always plays.
William Atherton,
he's been pigeonholed as a jerk.
Poor guy. Then we got Shinatsky, who's been a member for 32 months. Thank you for that. Shinatsky also says with $1.99, Princess Mononoke does everything Avatar fails to do. And then Travis Schiffer. No, there's no L there. Sorry, Travis has become a member. Well, thank you for that, Travis Schiffer.
You thought it was Stifler. That's why you had the L.
Yeah.
Well, he's all like
Mom.
buff there, looking like Stifler. You know,
Stifler's mom.
But Atherton was in Ghostbusters, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and he said Ghostbusters ruined his career.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the thing, is he plays basically the same part in both Ghostbusters
And Die Hard.
and Die Hard and Biodome. He plays like the same role in all three.
Yeah.
I
Then
think
there's
another movie that he's
There's
in
Buried
too.
Buried Alive with Tim Matheson, which I love. That's a great
Is he
old
in that
USA horror movie. Oh yeah, he plays the guy the wife's having the affair with. It's great. Yeah,
Of
Buried Alive. You
course,
guys
he
have,
plays an
Buried Alive is
asshole.
great. It's so good. Anyway,
Real quickly, for your edification, the $670 million of global earnings from 2013's Man of Steel, adjusted for inflation, is $913 million.
We're not talking about Injustice for nothing. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, what is that whole argument there? What's going on?
Oh, these guys. I'm just picking on Culture because he's had a hate boner for Superman since
I
day
don't.
Why do you have a hate boner?
I don't.
At
I
least he's
want
got
it
a
to be
Barbasol.
boner.
There you go.
Barbasol.
You guys,
You know,
I'm hoping my camera can pick it up. This is
Burma
the
Shave.
Captain America version.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow!
Really
They
did
keep
have it.
that. That's a collector's item. Keep that one.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh,
I was
you-
gonna
Wait, the
say,
Falcon. Wait, it says the Falcon on the back.
so
That's
Chris,
right, just the Falcon, not
is
Captain
it safe?
America.
Chris, is it safe to say you lather your head every morning with Captain America?
It is. Yeah.
That's kinda
I would
Patriotism.
say this is a better
It's patriotism.
product than the movie.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've been
Well, the
satisfied
mar-
every time I've
Patriotism.
used it. And it may actually still be in stores longer than the movie.
Oh, it
be.
will.
We'll see. So if Superman is a hit, Culture, I recommend getting Captain America 4 Barbasol.
It'll make your balls tingle.
That'll, yeah. That's probably like one of the prerequisites is that you're going to have to shave your hate boner with
Yes.
Captain America, Anthony Mackie Barbasol.
Have your follicles take have your follicles take flight with Captain America.
That's right.
Como no?
I think we
All right,
talked
there's
about
one-
that last week when Polly was on. Polly and I were both on here and came up. Barbasol, I think we talked about.
There's
it.
one more
Somebody
topic I-
claimed it was cheap shaving cream.
I did.
Yeah,
Because it
that's
is.
right.
It's a huge, it's a
I-
huge
It's
product.
It's
though.
affordable. It's
I'm
It's
going to
affordable
tell you.
then.
Thank
okay,
you.
fine.
I'm going to tell you, $917 million is Superman will not make.
Can I have control of my show back, please?
Now, that is higher than I thought.
Please? Can I take control of the show?
Okay.
All right, because I just want we got one more topic before we start losing people, and that was the Star Wars sale that was going around last week. Chris Gore was the one who put this out there,
Yeah.
and a few places had picked it up. That supposedly Star Wars has been being shopped around for the last 7 months, and lo and behold, nobody was interested. Well, we heard a rumor ourselves surrounding this situation. And the rumor we're hearing was they never had any intentions of selling Lucasfilm or Star Wars. But this was more or less just a test to see how much it was worth now or worth less than it was before. And probably another good reason to get Kathleen Kennedy out of the way. So I was curious what you guys thought about this new rumor that we just reported on this morning, actually, about how this supposed sale, if it's true, was just to test their waters and see if it's still worth the $4.05 billion that they paid for it. Anybody want to chime in on that right away?
How about that? Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Can they do that without losing massive face as a company in their and also putting doubt into investors now and into the future about their financial decisions if they tried to sell it off now after that, after only, I mean, 10 years is not that long for an investment that big. So
That's what I mean. That's what I heard. They were never intending to sell it off. That was
Paul,
just
Paul, you're muted.
you're mutad.
Muted.
They're crossing some fiduciary rules by doing that. Investors could sue Disney
Yeah.
over
If that's true.
if that's true, because you might be diminishing the value of your stock.
Exactly.
This is a very dangerous place to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because if
again,
they
take this
shopped it
all-
around and they couldn't find somebody to buy it for at least as much as they paid for it, that's going to just leak out. They're like, "Oh my God, this is toxic. This is toxic investment. Nobody should touch it.
Even shopping it around and having that get out
Right.
is irresponsible.
Wouldn't that follow or find itself under the office of the comptroller of currency for hard to value assets? Wouldn't I mean? Couldn't they claim that there's no way to put a price on it without getting points of evaluation from interested parties?
Well, sure. Something's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it in the first place. So, what would the market bear for it?
No, but I totally understand your argument, Paul. I mean, yeah, it would seem like they could be placing an undue burden on the performance of that one asset that they paid an extraordinary amount of money for, $4 billion or 400 million, something like that. But I don't know how you would go about finding out what it was worth unless you went out and found out what it was worth.
Well, the board would have to approve this strategy to go out and check to see.
Do you think anybody on the board is going to say no to Iger trying to figure this out?
No, but they would have to know. And I mean, again, yeah, it's something that would have to be done quite secretly.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what Chris was originally reporting. Again, we got to take this as a huge grain of salt because it's a rumor within a rumor now, right? So like, I want to express that. And in this inside rumor that we're getting inside this rumor is they basically said, yeah, it is true they were putting it out for sale, but it was more or less to see how much it's worth now. And I could see that as maybe a possibility as something within like Kathleen Kennedy's contract to where if maybe the value went down a certain percentage, they could push her ass out. Because that's the other part of this is everybody is adamant, no matter who you've asked now as far as sources, that she is going to be out before the end of the year.
So diminishing returns, you can certainly point to as lost value, right?
Your mic is fucked, Culture.
Okay, what?
There we go.
There
It's
you
back
go.
now.
Okay. Paul, I'm right to assume that the diminishment in returns would be something you could point to for all of the Star Wars properties, whether it be a financial return or even a ratings return under particular guidance of a studio head. So since all of the Star Wars films were, a line of, diminishing returns across the board, couldn't you point to that as like this property is no longer as valuable because it has less market value overall? Nobody's buying into it because it was treated so poorly by the leader, the studio head. I mean, how would you? I'm going to work on this in my head, try to figure out how you.
Wasn't Kathleen Kennedy as much as she was built up? Doesn't she make a part of the value of the property itself at Disney? Her departure, doesn't that diminish the overall value if you said forever that she's the genius that saved Star Wars and everything else?
Not if she's been destroying it.
Yeah.
Well, but to admit that she's done that also devalues it completely.
At the end of the day, the whole point is I don't think they're ever going to sell it or they ever had any intentions of selling
they're
it.
trying to figure out what her buyout is on the way out the door.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm starting to believe this now after I talked to this individual, because the more I asked to talk about it, because like, okay, so first I'm like, why would they even bother? Like, it makes no fucking sense for many of the reasons we've all talked about until you start bringing Kathleen Kennedy into the equation. And clearly we're starting to see the truth of how she acts and her little game she plays. And we're starting to see that. And we're also starting to see that, she does not really want to go. That if you have any question in your mind, read that fucking interview with her.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? If I were going to sell a business or part of a business or one aspect, like just a sector I didn't want to play in anymore, right? So if I were going to sell that, I would have to prove its value with 5 years of sales and amongst some other things in order to get to basically convince somebody it's worth this much money. You will, earn your returns. Your return on investment you'll be made whole in a year if you're willing to pay this amount for this company. You'll be made whole in 5 years if you're willing to pay this much for the company or whatnot, or whatever your decision-making process is. But so they need to have something to decide what Star Wars is worth so they can, compensate her for her exit. Yeah. I would pay her to get her name off of every credit ever done on Star Wars. Well, I would give her an extra $50 million. Just go away.
My point is, I don't think she's in as good a graces in Disney as she thinks she is, or she wants to everybody to perceive.
I say put it up in a game of sabacc, and the fans will flock to it. That's what I say.
Well, I know you got to be leaving soon, and we're going to be losing other members of the panel. But hey, look, at the end of the day, if this is true, there's another aspect of this. Bob Iger's supposed to be gone by next year too.
Right.
So who's to say that he doesn't give a shit at that point?
See, I'm going to say it this way. Gone is a relative term. It's not like it used to be.
I know,
like,
yeah,
this is a red
Somehow
stamp. You were
Palpatine
done.
returned. I know. Yes.
Yeah. So anytime I hear it, I'm like going, man, I really hope this is true, but I know it's not.
I think it's a new category of sort of gone now.
Medium gone.
Medium.
It's a very metagon.
Well, we did get rumor and news of one possible buyer. It was Temu. Temu was looking at it now.
They already look at it. It's already Temu Star Wars, so just you got to change the Disney, and then you're all good. They've been doing that shit.
No, I was joking. Of course, that's just me kidding.
Adding to the joke.
Yeah, I know. No, I meant for the audience, so they don't take me seriously. But this one's for Chato. I know we got a couple more super chats. We're just gonna get out of here if that's all right, guys.
Sorry.
Goal 1 for 1 sends in 50 Mexican dollars and says, Chato, what do you think of the under the ICE shoots on the Polar Express? Non-rail shots are hard to pull off unless you want to induce nausea.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Polar Express creeped me out.
Yeah, it was not. That was good.
Yeah.
Under the ice, yeah.
Under the ice shots.
No, but while Paul thinks about that, like
I remember it. I have a.
There's a lot of problems with that when you try to do a lot of camera movements and stuff that just aren't unnatural, and you can't do that normally.
Yeah, what quote unquote what is natural? It's just stuff that we're used to. That's based on having it, physically tethered to this planet.
Right.
So.
Thanks for the clarification, but yeah. I mean, technically, I guess if you wanted to send a camera underneath the ice in the water, you could shoot that.
Well, yeah, no, that I don't have a problem with. Placing a camera someplace where it can't be placed, let's say in space, right? But then just pretend that,
or up your butt,
or up your butt.
Well, he's had a few cameras up
inner
his butt.
space.
Inner space.
Inner space.
What was the movie with
Sorry.
Raquel Welch?
Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah. So that still doesn't mean that, if you are in an environment where a camera wouldn't normally be placed, that you don't follow physics. This is one of my biggest complaints just in general in sci-fi presentations, is just how little physics or how much in the way of physics they dispense with. And It makes it, those are small things, but it makes it harder to believe what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, Bill S. Preston just kind of simplified what you just said here. What natural is defined by physics and biology. When the animation violates those, it seems unnatural.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
sometimes
anime,
it's cool.
Even classic anime does that a lot. It's cool, but you realize you're watching a piece of fiction. Like in The Matrix, the bullet time stuff and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are special effects, and I think animation, you're conditioned to expect something that you would not normally see, because that's what animation is for.
Right. Right.
Paulie, good job on linking what I was about to link. Yeah.
All right, to take us away before we get back into the super chats, I guess we'll show these real quick. Let's see here, we got a couple Snow White posters, not trailers. I don't actually hate this poster.
I think it's the best. Yeah.
This actually looks like the OG.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, the farther you get away from Rachel Zegler, the better it looks. Yeah.
Now this just looks
Yeah.
Now look at the one I shared just now. I like it a lot, but you can tell who Disney is favoring.
Oh shit! Yeah, hold on here. Yeah,
There was a drop yesterday. Yeah, that's a few days ago. That's a good one.
I think it's a great poster.
Yeah, it's great colors.
Yeah,
there was a
I don't
drop.
know, that first one we looked at was the most
The first one, yeah, the one with the there was a drop yesterday where it had more of the what is she like the witch become the queen become the witch, right? The old lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was like a TikTok drop yesterday. They're doing daily TikTok drop videos, and
Okay.
Yeah, you were trying to share that with me, and X is
yeah,
wonky.
Okay.
I still haven't got it from you, so I don't know if it went through.
It's whistle-while work, but it's from Rachel's unplugged session. You know, like they did like her and a guitarist. They basically sang it a acoustic style unplugged all the songs, and they're dropping them bit by bit, and they're dropping them also as singles. So now the Waiting on a Wish is available. Then the whistle while you work is going to be available on Spotify, the whole thing. But
if only Rachel had started out doing it like that,
it's a valid argument. It's a valid argument.
Because I think that's a great campaign.
Well, the campaign's great. The campaign is great. Yeah. But there's then this whole TikTok thing is on point. Yesterday was the old witch TikTok where you got to really see her give the apple. I mean, that looked really good. That looked really, really, really good.
Well, it should. I mean, they only shot the movie several times, so it should look good.
Oh, Hate Boner Casino coming on in. Old Man Boner
Casino. Use
Old Man Boner. Bologna sausage.
That's right. Hey, I'm not using.
You can get a boner.
Oh, what?
I'm thankful
I'm
that
gonna let
Six
Scribe
and
get the hell out of
Polly
here.
proved that
I don't know who you were talking to, Sick.
I got to split.
I gotta let
Unfortunately,
Scribe split, but yeah. So check out Scribe Light's channel. I'm sure you're gonna be doing something either later today or tomorrow.
Yeah, a little bit less than an hour now. I'll have my next episode of DEI Death Watch, taking a look at some digest of the continuing downfall of DEI. And of course, Thursdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, TED Excellence for off-brand TED Talks. And bingo. I have bingo. Lots of bingo. And otherwise, guys, thanks for having me on. Nice to see everybody. Holy cats, what a panel. Chris, Polly, Paul, Culture, Six, and Tom. And everybody in the chat. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday, if not sooner. Take care.
Scribe.
Thank you, Scribe.
Paul,
all right. Of course, Sadie's going off. Sorry.
Hey, so can we do one last thing before we skip off to Malu? Because this is Star Wars related, the thing that I threw it in the chat.
You can share it.
Let me see if I can.
Can you? Yeah.
Hang on.
I'll try to grab it.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I appreciate Polly and Six proving that Twitter was working again. I wasn't sure, but
yeah, it's up now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. All right, I can share this. Hang on. Share screen. Share a window.
I can now do my appalling news.
Appalling. It's so appalling.
The anticipation is killing me, Culture.
It's coming. I'm not in charge.
Okay.
So apparently they are releasing, this is how desperate Disney is with Star Wars. They are releasing season 1 of Andor, the first 3 episodes on YouTube, I guess today. And there's supposed to be a Q&A with
I actually
Gilroy?
knew this, but I didn't give a shit.
The creator. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found this interesting because, in light of all this, Star Wars sucks. Lucasfilm looks like they're going to try to pull out all the stops for the show. So I just there's a lot of big brains here, and I appreciate all of them. So I'll ask this question: is 2 seasons of the show worth $463 million?
Close.
Okay.
No, it's a good show. I enjoy it. It's not that great though. But I understand why they're trying to create hype. I don't see this as desperation. I see this as, we know that Andor is probably our most popular show that we have available right now. And so they're trying to, pump it up and get everybody excited. This is just, I don't know, marketing 101.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I don't know that it's like a great show. I think it's probably just the one that hews closest to what people might have expected from serious Star Wars, right? Whereas The Acolyte is so far afield, and even the recent, what was it, Treasure Planet, Goonies, what was the name of the Skeleton Crew? Thank you. was so far away from it. Andor was serious. It took the lore seriously, and it's sort of right there in that sweet spot between, like right before the original Star Wars happening.
Do you think had they continued on the original path of the bear and cub, that would have been more successful?
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Because had they not pulled back Grogu into the show and they kept on the right path, and the thing with
That's the
Gina didn't go
Mandalorian.
well.
Okay, you think the you're talking right, Mandalorian.
Yeah, Mandalorian. Yeah. I think
Mandalorian would have been okay, but Book of Boba Fett ruined everything. When you made Boba Fett not a ruthless person, I mean, he should have been like the Godfather. Like they promoted it as the Godfather.
right.
But he wasn't ruthless. He didn't kill like the Godfather would kill. Yes, there was an emphasis on loyalty and things like that. Plus, he had a dad bod, which just looked ridiculous.
He was not ruthless. He was toothless.
Yes, and don't get me started on those little Goonie bike things they were riding around on. It's ridiculous. It was terrible.
So we have news on the X down. Why X was down?
Oh,
according to Elon, still is a massive cyber attack against X.
Uh-oh.
We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources. Either large, coordinated group and or country is involved. Tracy.
Canada.
You fuckers.
It's
all you.
I knew that. It ain't Mexico. We don't even have a fucking computer down there. So shoot.
I don't know. Now the new head of the Liberal Party in Canada was making some threatening comments.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Chili con carne.
You install a WEF dictator type, and this is what you're going to get. I mean, he's
friends with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, very good friends with.
We were. The Canadian government sent all Canadians emails to pull out their Commodore 64s from their closets and join them into the internet so we could call a DOD attack on X.
I knew it was happening.
You guys are using dial-up still?
Well, that's what else? How else do you hook up to the internet? Oh, duh.
That's Chris how AI talks to each other. Those modem sounds, guys. I got a bolt. I had a lot of
no problem. Take care, Chris.
Enjoyed
check out Bleeding
being on
Fool
here.
News, and we're going to finish up here.
Thank you, guys. BleedingFool.com. Love you all. What a great panel.
Bye, Chris.
Take care.
If I was Disney, I would have honestly re-edited the first 9 episodes of Andor 1 to 2 hour-and-a-half movies, because there was some great ideas in there, like ideas I loved. And then there was some unbelievably bad stuff in there at the same time. Unfortunately, you couldn't edit out Luna out of it, unfortunately. But I think that's what they should have done, was edit it to the best of Andor 1 and get people excited about Andor 2, which it looks good, to be quite honest. I really liked the adult take of Star Wars and Andor. They just didn't fully pull it off. That's my opinion.
That is Chato's opinion.
That's my opinion.
Richard the Dungeon Crawler's been here for 10 months. Thank you so much. Kalekioki says with $2, think Warner Brothers will consider Soups a success if it's 800 million plus? Maybe, but I think the billion threshold is what they're shooting for. Jason Webster sends in 10 Australian and says Star Wars for sale, 20% off, recommended price. And if you buy now, you'll get a free set of steak knives. All credit cards accepted. Ask about our easy payment plan. Operators are standing by. Operators aren't standing by anymore anywhere. STR Red Wolf sends in $5, says, wait, isn't that Prince Farquaad in the middle of that poster Chris shared? Yeah, the farther from Rachel Zegler, the better. Yeah, no kidding. And then Jason Webster says, coming soon, unfortunately, from Disney. Killers of beloved IPs. Snowflake and the 7 awful CGI garden gnomes.
It's not an IP.
Cinemas.
Never became an IP.
Yeah. If you want your intelligence insulted and your senses assaulted, see it now. Pick up tickets are on sale today.
Yeah, watch the movie turn into a massive hit. Just watch.
I don't see the buzz, Paul.
I'm just saying, anything can happen.
Well, I look at it this way. The Little Mermaid did what? About 400 or 500 million altogether set in culture?
No, it did better than that.
How much better than that? Not much.
I didn't do much better than that. I was thinking it's in the 700s, but I'll look it up.
Really? Okay, my mistake.
But yeah, that's what I thought.
It didn't make any money, if that's the.
Well, my point is this: is Little Mermaid is actually relevant still with kids today. I don't know if Snow White even registers as much with little girls, like on the same level as like Little Mermaid does.
240.2 million is the admitted budget. Probably.
I'm talking about box office. I just want to know what the box office was.
I understand.
Yeah. And Halle Bailey wasn't out there saying stupid shit.
Also true.
Yes, she did.
Not really. Not to the
extent. She did. Yes, she did.
What'd she
say?
Oh, it was the same nonsense from what's her name from the Star Wars thing. No, there was similar racial, anti-racist remarks about the the stuff that was happening on social media towards her. Not to the same degree.
Oh, did she make a preemptive strike?
Oh yeah. Oh,
okay. That was Disney's playbook till they figured out that was a terrible idea. So instead of making preemptive strikes like they did with that Star Wars show and with the Little Mermaid, they switched to a defensive mode because the preemptive strikes were actually, they thought, the cause of the terrible financial returns.
I remember them distinctly.
For some reason, I don't remember this. But you're not wrong. It says here that Halle Bailey opens up about Little Mermaid racist backlash.
Goodness.
As
Tom,
a black person, just expect what?
You were correct. It didn't make as much as I recalled. It's 569 million. It didn't break even.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it only did like 500 million.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it made money, but it made more than people had predicted.
It did better in the U.S. than they anticipated.
Yeah, internationally, it was widely rejected.
Yeah, and Moana 2 did better than I think anyone anticipated. So there's weird shit going on.
Well, Moana is a little bit of a different animal, but we'll have to see. I don't know if this is going to... My point with that was I don't know if this is going to even do remotely as good as Little Mermaid. My guess is it's going to land somewhere in the $300 million range when it's all said and done. I don't think this is going to have a very good opening. And I think word of mouth is going to get around pretty quick that it's a fucking mess.
I'm predicting $1 billion.
Because I'm still not convinced that... Because they're doing all these other events, press events and stuff still, premieres, but they're not doing a UK premiere, which is odd. And the only reason I still am convinced they're not doing that has nothing to do with keeping her off the red carpet and has more to do with those premieres are usually the first ones. And that's usually when we get our first reviews out. I just don't think they want the bad word to get out before it opens everywhere. That's my hunch, but I could be...
For me, all I'm doing is making sure on one of these episodes I go high, and in another episode I go low, and then I can cover myself.
Hi-ho, hi-lo.
So are we done, kids?
We are done, kids. Paul, tell them where you're at.
Call me Chato. I'm going to have some fun today, hopefully, if I don't fall asleep. I hate the spring forward time clock thing.
Yes.
I hate it.
Yes.
Sounds good. Check out Call Me Chato.
Yes.
And we have Culture Casino. Check out Culture Casino. What you got?
I dropped a video about a crazy purple-haired lady that was really throwing down against President Trump. He'll never recover from her skibbity takedown. It was fantastic. It's good stuff. I've got more of this crazy things that people are doing.
2 minutes left.
Messaging is a problem. But no, I did the 6 minute daily. I dropped obviously my box office preview of what was happening with Mickey 17, which Polly fell asleep to, which I think is hysterical.
The movie's awful. And that's coming from me.
I know. And coming up here quick.
I'm sorry. Did I break into your exit? Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And then you're a positive guy.
Yeah, he is, Paul. He's a positive.
He's got 30 seconds left.
Anyway, come and check out the channel. If you're not subscribed there, just do that, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss anything. And check out my buddy Pauly, because Pauly needs more subs. Pauly is criminally undersubscribed.
See, I was kidding, and it still took him 3 minutes to do his outro. Literally. Anyhow, Pauly, check out Pauly on Latino Slant. You got something going on this afternoon?
Oh, are we wrapping up?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll go live right now.
Cool.
Come on by. I'll put the link in the chat.
Now. Sure thing.
Cool.
I'll put the link in the chat. I'm going live right now. I'm going to talk about the new Jen Ortega Death of a Unicorn film. It dropped. Got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, including race swapping.
Yeah, you're all for it. We're against it. It's fine. But let me say, Gaga, and Wednesday. You're going to talk about Jenna, Gaga, and Wednesday?
Well, Jenna was asked about Lady Gaga working with her on Wednesday, but we're going to go over what critics were saying about her new film, Death of a Unicorn. Jenna Ortega's Death of a Unicorn.
Okay.
So yeah. But no, I'm not for race swapping. Oh my God. Stop it.
You are too.
Why would you say that? We're gonna get it. Come on over to my stream right now.
I read your comments. I read your comments today. You were all for it.
Proton
it's make believe. Okay.
Says instead of culture shaving, Chris should grow hair and match culture if Superman is a success.
Chris isn't even
That's
here.
not how the Force works, Pack and Protons. and that's coming from a bald dude.
Twitter's down again.
And the X is experiencing an attack. Yes, we just touched upon this. I think you're behind a little bit, perhaps. Or you're just popping in. So yeah, we already covered this, and it looks like it's a cyber attack of some sort.
And it's down again.
It's back. It's down again.
Really?
Yeah.
Good thing I don't need anything from Twitter today.
I do. I got all my appalling news things in there.
Love how quickly everybody turns into little fucking terrorists.
Yep.
Well, they saw the success of that middle grader from Malaysia who took down YouTube.
Right.
Or the Superman Marvel.
I'm still not convinced that he wasn't backed by the fucking Snyder Bros. But anyway.
It's always a conspiracy.
6, what you got going on?
I love the time change because I work third shift, and so now when I get out of work, I can start cleaning up my yard because the snow's melting and it's beautiful weather out. So are you having toxic femininity tonight?
I am not 100% sure on that yet because X has not been working.
Wow.
We'll find out. So hopefully there is.
Yeah, I'm going to bed.
Wait. One last note.
6.
Good night, 6. One last note. I just want to say that Chelsea Handler has guaranteed us that she will never have sex with Elon Musk. I
did not need to fucking know that. Packing Proton sends in 5 and says, I'd be shocked if Star Wars is worth $900 million to $1 billion. They killed the toys. No one reads the books. Movies are dead. TV is dead. What is left? I think it's still worth more than $1 billion because Bond just sold for $1 billion. But is that cheese in your mouth, Paul? What is that? Soap? Oh, it's a socket. What the fuck?
He's going to plug himself in.
He's going to sock it off.
I'm not going to say anything because 6 will come after me.
Just say it's time for koalas in the rain.
No fucks given.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas in the rain.